Alright guys, welcome back to 4-3 Outdoors. So lately I've been getting a lot of requests on how I stiffen and weighten the stock down on the Ruger American rifle, and I've kind of failed to make a video on that because I did it a long time ago and I never made a video. And it's kind of hard to explain what I did when it's already been done. So I still have the second Ruger American here with me tonight, and what we're going to do is we're going to weigh these rifles, we're going to take the stocks apart, and I'm going to let you see what the before and what the after is and what the weight difference is. I have a just like a fishing scale here. It does it to the 100th of an ounce, so we can get pretty accurate results with this. So let's get started by weighing these rifles out. Alright, so this is my rifle with a 6-24 scope, sunshade, bipod, all the added weight. We're right around 12 pounds even. So it's kind of floating back and forth, so we're just going to call it 12 pounds and go with that. Alright, this is the other Ruger American, has a similar scope, bipod, no added weight, and it is coming at 9.12 pounds, so for the sake of the video, we're going to call it 9 pounds. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get the stocks off these rifles. What you're going to need is a Allen wrench or a hex key in the size of 3/16. There's 2 action screws on the bottom of each rifle, and we're just going to take those out. So we'll keep these screws separate for each rifle, even though they're the same, and we'll do the same for this other rifle. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is weigh just the stocks. I'll leave the bipods on. So we are at 2.11 pounds. That is with similar bipods, and they both still have the magazine in the gun. So let's let it settle one more time. 2.11. And my rifle is coming in 4.36. Alright, so here's a close-up of the forearms and what I have done. These voids right here is what you're going to want to fill up with your either fiberglass or whatever kind of epoxy that you decide to use. Some people will also like grind a little groove in here and put like a carbon arrow or even a piece of steel to stiffen this up. But basically on mine, all these grooves I've just filled up all the way up to here to here. I didn't fill up here, even though I could have. But once you fill it up, you just sand it back smooth. I could have probably done a little bit better job, but it ain't too bad. As far as trimming the stock, I take a Dremel and I just trim this edge. I just feather it a little bit, and then I open up right here just a little bit, and then back on this side. So the barrel is completely free floated. This is adding quite a bit of weight. I use the Bondo fiberglass, and I use the long strain, and I'm not going to recommend the long strain because the fibers are really long. You're going to want to get the shorter strain or use some sort of epoxy. Some people will even use like JB Weld and BBs to add weight. But these voids are pretty deep in here, and you're just going to want to use a putty knife or a screwdriver and pack these very tight. Kind of get a uniform shape, and then you're going to want to sand it out. I kind of used my Dremel with a sanding bit on it, and then kind of finished it by hand. So that's all there is to the forearm. There's not a lot to it. You just want to get it filled up and then get it sanded back smooth. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is take off this recoil pad on the back of the rifle. You're going to use a Phillips screwdriver, and there's a little bitty hole, and there's a screw in there holding it on. You just have to force it in there and find that screw and then take it out. There's one on top and there's one on bottom. Alright, so we got that out. Let's get this stock out of the way. What you're going to find on your stock rifle is a piece of styrofoam in here, and you're just going to pull it out, no big deal. I have mine packed in with some lead. I melted down some lead shot, and then I have some shop rags to hold everything in here. So we're going to pull these rags out. Alright, so I originally tried to fill this stock full of expandable foam and it didn't set up, and it's funny now because some of it did set up. So what I have here is a piece of lead. It's from here all the way up to here. I made a piece of angle iron, and then I put a little cap on the end. I melted the shot down, and it formed it into kind of like a triangle shape to kind of fit up in the stock. So that's it here. It's kind of funny because last time I had this out, this foam was not even set up in there. So that's kind of surprised. But this will help hold it in there. I don't know, the foam, it was kind of a reaction. It wasn't getting enough air, or I don't remember the brand I used, but it didn't work at all. But let's see if we can get a weight on this lead here. So we are at 1.36 pounds of lead. And that is in the rear stock, and then I have one shop rag stuffed in there with it. So basically you're just going to want to put anything that can add some weight in there, and you don't want it to move. So we're going to stuff this back in here. This cheek rest has bolts going through here, so this has to go underneath them bolts. But we're just going to stuff that in there good and tight so it don't move. We're going to take this shop rag and we're just going to stuff all that back in there, and that's going to fill all the voids, and then it's going to keep that piece of lead from moving around. So you can take the screwdriver and just kind of do some poking in it and get that all packed in there nice and tight, and you don't have to worry about nothing moving. And that'll also give it a little bit of strength side to side. And the next thing you're going to do is just put your cap back on. You can see these screws, I kind of still left them in there, but we'll just screw that back on, and that's all there is to weighing your stock now. Alright, so the stock's all back together. I'll give you guys just another quick view of a kind of a before and after job. Get out of the light here. But like I said, all you want to do is just fill these voids up and then sand it smooth. You can do this, in an evening. It won't take very long. I would recommend putting masking tape along the outside of this, because if you get this epoxy or fiberglass on the outside of it, you probably won't get it off. So like I said, if you want to free float it just a little bit, just take your Dremel or even sandpaper and then just feather these edges a little bit, and you can keep test fitting your barrel, and then once it's free floated, you're good. But like I said, this is my notes here. My rifle weighs 3 pounds more, and it's looking to me that the scope with the sunshade and the bubble level, and I have the EGW 20 MOA base and the brake, that's about another pound of weight. And then let's see, yeah, and then we're gaining almost a pound up here, and we're gaining a little over a pound in the stock. So that's what I kind of come up with here tonight. We're going to go ahead and put these actions back together and torque them down here. Got my fat wrench out here, so let's go ahead and get these rifles put back together. So we're going ahead and adjust this fat wrench up to 60 inch-pounds. That's what I torque them at. You can read in your manual. I think that's the minimum torque setting, but that's about as high as this wrench goes. So that's what I always torque mine at. So we'll get it just pretty much exactly on 60 inch-pounds there. Make sure we get the right barrel on the right bottom end. We're just going to set that in there, make sure it sits right. I'll take our bolts. We'll go ahead and lay this on the side. You don't want to tighten these all the way at first. You just want to get them started and snug them up a little bit. So there we got a little resistance, so we'll stop and we'll go ahead and run the front one on. And we got just a little bit of resistance. We're going to kind of go back and forth, and we'll torque them down kind of evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the 60 inch-pounds here. We got our click. And we got our click. So our action's back together. Like I said, once you get all done, you can take your piece of paper and double check your free flow to the barrel. And you can run it all the way back to the barrel nut, nothing touches. So let's go ahead and throw this other rifle together. So what people refer to on these barrels is right here, because of how these guns are boxed, this stock tends to lean over just a little bit. I trimmed this one back just a slight little bit to open it up just a little bit. This side is almost always good on these rifles, but it's always this side, and when it's sitting in the box it kind of smashes the stock down when it sits for long periods of time. So that's going to wrap our little video up tonight. I just wanted to make this video while I had both of these rifles still. It's extremely muddy out at the range, so I probably won't be out there either until it dries up or we get another freeze. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you later.